Join me as I repaint this Hatbox Ghost. Hello my friend, Chris Mason here. So I've set myself a fun little project to do today. I thought it would be fun to time myself on a project. I've got this Hatbox Ghost mask that I picked up after Halloween, and thought it would be fun to do just a little bit of a repaint on this. So let's set a timer and let's go. All right, here we go. I'm going to set a timer on this, and let's see what happens. So I've got my phone here, and we're at 0. I got a stopwatch, so we're going to go ahead and set this to go. All right, so we're off, and I'm going to set that there so I can see what's going on. I don't really have a plan. I did get some paints out just in case. I think what I want to do first is the Hatbox Ghost. It's a glow-in-the-dark mask. I'm gonna leave that. But he traditionally has a gold tooth, and for some reason his tooth is missing. So I have some of this Model Magic clay. It's like, you know, for kids and stuff, but I use it sometimes to make little things. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make a tooth. So Model Magic clay, it's an air dry clay, it's a soft clay. It's probably not the best sculpting clay in the world, but for little projects like this, and you know, I use it sometimes to make tiny like little prop pieces, and I also use it to fill in large areas. So in this case, we're going to make a gold tooth once I get it to size. And the reason I'm doing this first is so that the clay can have some time to dry. It doesn't dry super fast, but it dries pretty quick, and you know, in about 24 hours it'll be perfect. Now the only downside to it is there's a lot of shrinkage. It tends to shrink up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this tooth here. That's looking pretty good. So I'm just going to do it so it just kind of fits in like this. So it's going to be like a little bigger than the other teeth. I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. Alright, I think this might be a little better. Alright, that looks pretty good. So let's give that a little press. Alright, so that's going to look like that. Not too shabby. Alright, I'm just going to shorten it just a little bit. See, now I've mangled it up. Alright, like I said, I didn't have much of a plan today when I started this. Just thought it'd be kind of a fun idea. I was going to repaint this anyway, and I thought it might be fun kind of do it on a timed, just to see how fast we can do a project like this. I'm going to guess it's going to be around 30-45 minutes to finish this. Alright, that looks good. I like that. Alright, so we're going to take this tooth and we're going to let this dry. I'm going to save this. We'll put this Model Magic off to one side, and I'm going to put that tooth on top. And then by the time we're done with the paint, that'll be dry enough to throw some paint on. Alright, so this all for the recesses around the eyes should be black, the nose and inside the mouth. We're going to do little aging on the teeth. I might crack out the airbrush to maybe do some shadowing and shading around the edges here, and definitely we're going to paint the hair white. But this mask, it's like a blue, it's a glow-in-the-dark plastic. I don't know if it has glow-in-the-dark paint. I haven't tested the glow, but when I bought it, it said it was a glow-in-the-dark. So I'm going to take their word for it, but I want to leave it in this blue. I kind of like this kind of spooky blue. So we'll leave that. Let's see. Let's do the teeth first. Let's work on those teeth. So I've got some sort of like wheat color, little corn color, and we're going to go ahead and mix up some paint here. I don't need much. Let's get a brush for the teeth. This is normally how I work. Sort of habdash. You know, I have an idea and then I just sort of go for it. So I'm finding a sort of a crappy brush. And we got some water, and I'm going to go ahead and thin that down. Scrap piece of paper. Alright, okay, so that's like a nice yellow, rotted teeth yellow. Let's get a paper towel. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to hit these teeth. Now I'm going to leave those gums that blue color. We're going to throw some of this yellow on all the teeth. And we'll go in with some black in between. So we're going to just paint them all yellow. Again, we're saving that blue gum color if possible. So there's a little gray in there too. Alright, I'm not going to worry about the inside of the mouth because that's going to get painted black. Alright. And paint rag. Alright, so let's use this paper towel. So we're just going to kind of dab that color a little bit so that most of the yellow stays. Alright, let's go ahead and take, so I watered that down a lot. So let's go ahead, I'm going to hit up like in the gum line with some extra yellow. Alright. So I did want to save that blue gum, but I got a lot of that yellowing in the gum line, so I'm going to take this other brush and see if I can't fix that a little bit. But there we go. I like the teeth. Might be a little bright to not see on camera. Alright, I'm going to live with that. And we're going to hit it with a little hair dryer. Alright, so the old clock says 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Alright, here's just to verify. There we are. Alright, 8 minutes and 35 seconds. So, let's see. Like I said, I didn't have a plan going into this. Let's go ahead. Let's do the hair, because that's a big, and we want that to dry. Alright, got some white here. Just some plain old regular white acrylic. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint the hair, and we'll go in afterwards when this dries and we'll hit some streaks with some gray or maybe a light blue. Alright, I'm just going to go around the ear. And the top of his head. Now he's the Hatbox Ghost, but there's no hat with this, so. Alright, I'm going to get a bigger brush. Now I can see my brush strokes. So I'm going to brush in the direction that this hair goes, so we'll get some built-in hair looking out of this. We can go back in and do like a second coat if we need it. But I think one coat's going to probably do it for us. Going to give us that nice sort of rotted hair look. And I think we'll go in with some gray because it's kind of a cartoony caricature of the Hatbox Ghost. I think we can get away with some cleaner lines, and it doesn't need to be super realistic looking. That's not my worry. We got some chunky bits of white here. Alright, so there's one side. It's already looking better. Go ahead and do the other side. Alright, clock just hit 12:09 minutes. Okay, I think we're doing pretty good as far as time. I don't know how long exactly it's going to take, but I'm going to guess around 35 to 45 minutes. And I don't want to rush. I actually want to do a good job on this. But at the same time, it is kind of fun to see how long it would take. I tend to, when I'm working on a project, I just get in the zone and I go. And a lot of times I'm making it up as I go along, especially like if I'm doing a painting, a portrait. All right. I'm liking that. Some crazy here. That's already changed our look considerably. All right. Always want to clean our brushes, especially if you're working with acrylics. I tend to, after I clean a brush, I'll leave it on my workstation, because I'm always going back to those same brushes. Alright, so I like the teeth. Those look pretty good. I think we're going to get some black lines in between there. But while we're working with black, while this is drying, let's go ahead, we can paint this. So let's get some black. So I got some black acrylic. And we are at 1404. All right, let's throw some black. I mean, you can't see. Yeah, it is. This is on camera. This is my palette. This is a plate that I've used for maybe, God, I don't know, 10 years maybe. I don't know. Is this a gloss black? I don't think I want a gloss. I want a matte black. So I'm going to use my, let's see. I've got some black, some black gesso. This way it's not shiny or reflective. And it's a little crusty. I'm gonna need a spike. See, if I planned better, I would have avoided this situation. All right, so let's go ahead and throw some of that black. All right, so I want the black gesso because the black gesso is not shiny. All right, we're at the 1532 mark. All right, so black gesso. Let's go ahead. So we have these little screens in here. Oh, look, I got some slop on there. What is that from? But anyway, we've got these screens for the eyes. It's a really fine mesh, so I should be able to paint, but before I got to get rid of that. So I got to get a pair of tweezers. That looks like a little bit of the dried black paint. All right, where were we? All right, so let's get a little black. And in the some of the reference pictures I saw of the Hatbox Ghost, it's a hard edge on his black. So we'll do that. And then maybe if I want to, I can get some airbrush maybe around. I don't know, we'll see. Airbrush is always a lot more trouble than it's worth sometimes. And I won't be wearing this. This is strictly, this will go on display. And I'll mount it up on the wall. I have some other masks. You know, old-fashioned dime store Halloween masks, which I love. Alright, so let's go ahead and go around the eye here. I don't think I need to do anything to the eye. I like the white that's there. And the little pupil dot, which the Hatbox Ghost has. He doesn't have big irises or pupils. Look how much that's already, the comparison of the two eyes, it's already really changed. Now we've got this screen. I'm going to go ahead and paint that. And if I ever do decide to wear this, I'll still be able to see. All right. There you go. You can hardly see that mesh now. Wow, that looks great. Okay, let's do the other eye. Now, I ordered this the day after Halloween as I think the Spirit Halloween store was having a post-Halloween sale, so that's where I picked this up. It's fairly cheap. It was only like, I think it was like $18, $20, something like that, plus shipping. Took about 4 days. All right, I'm liking that. So we are at 1943 on the old timer. This eye's a little, this one's a little tighter than that one. I want to make sure I don't get any black in any of these areas, because that would make it just harder to clean up. All right, I'm going to go in probably with a smaller brush and get that little corner. Painting the mesh here. That looks pretty good. Alright, clean off my brush a little bit. Get a smaller brush. This one's a little, that's a little smaller. Just something to get into this little tighter nook here. There we go. All right. Well, that's pretty good. Let's get the nose. So we're not going to paint anything, just that mesh in the nose. Get up in them boogers. Always telling my students, I'm an art teacher, don't be afraid to turn your artwork upside down. It'll give you a new perspective, and you might see things that you missed looking at it straight up and down. Same thing goes for model making. Alright, I think that's all the nose mesh painted, and now we can let's do the inside of the mouth. I'm happy with the teeth. I don't think I need to do any more there. We might do a little black lines in between the teeth to make those pop out a little more. Hair, the white is already dry. Maybe I'll find like a felt top hat and cut it in half when I go to mount this on the wall. Maybe. I'm always trying to be aware of what I just painted and not drag my fingers through a wet spot. All right, we are 23:50 on the old clock. This is going a lot faster than I had imagined. don't know, maybe we'll be around that 35-minute mark. I mean, it looks 10 times better already. All right, so I need an even smaller brush. Let's use this one. This one's pretty small. Just to get in that deep little recess there. All right, let's do the little lines in between the teeth. My hands are not as steady as they used to be. Unfortunately. And this black is pretty thick. That's not too bad. I do think, however, because I got those black lines in there now, is I need to almost outline the teeth now. Because those black lines, so I mean it almost needs like the gum line outlined. You know, these are some of those things that you don't see until you do it. And it is kind of a cartoony version, so I think we can get away with doing some of these outlines. And then it helps to break up the teeth and the gums. There we go. So this is like a, what is this? Size brush. I don't know, it doesn't say. But it's a long, skinny brush. I'll go in with the white and clean these up a little bit. And it's going to go up on the wall, so I'm not going to see it close up, which is fine. Alright, so that makes the teeth kind of pop out a little bit. Alright. Now we need to just go along the gum line here. right, we are at 29:12. I think that's looking pretty good. So let's do a couple. So we've got these sort of like his upper lip. We're seeing some. Just do a little. This just kind of brings out those cheekbones a little bit. I do think I need to, I don't want to do black, maybe a little airbrush. I get a little water on my brush to thin down that black, and we're going to do his little eyebrows here. Frown. Yeah, that helped a lot. So I don't think we need up here. There's a little chin dimple. All right, that's looking pretty good. I'm liking that a lot. All right. Excuse me. All right. I think that's looking pretty good. We are at 31:25 on the clock. Not bad. So I did say about 35 minutes, so we're close. So let's do some, my white's dry. I'm going to do a little gray. So I've got some crushed stone gray for the hair. And we'll pop a little bit over here. And you know what? Let's put a little blue in there. Put a little bit of blue in that gray. Just kind of brighten it up a little. Whoa, that's a lot. All right. So I got a little bit of blue, a little bit of gray, a little bit of white in there. There we go. All right. So I just want to get into some of, just get a little bit of some of the hair. Just to get a little, you know, in the sort of the folds of the hair. Doesn't need to be a lot. Alright, so let's go back to my really skinny brush. Roll that through some paint. I'm going to do some hair lines here. Give them a little wobble. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just a hint. Just a hint that he's got some crazy hair going on here. All right, I'll buy that. I think what I need is just like some, just at the bottom. Okay. I don't think it needs any more. I think we need something in the ears. All right, we are at 35:48. And yeah, I think we could do a little airbrush. Do I really want to do any airbrush? You know, let's try this first before we get into the airbrush. I'll try a little bit of black. So we've already determined this is more of a cartoony, and we got cartoony lines in there. So I think we can get away with kind of highlighting. I want my smaller brush. I think we can highlight the inside of the ear without doing a lot of black. So let's do a little outline here. I don't know that I love it, but I don't know that I want to crack out the airbrush for it. But it does give us a little something here in the ear. If I were to crack out the airbrush, I'd probably do it a little in gray. Maybe like around the edges. I don't know. I kind of like it. Right? All right, I'm just looking to see where we could add some little extra black just to bring out some spots. A little here on the jawline. A little black there. Yeah, alright. Well, since we're working, get a little water on the brush. Let's do these little eyebrow frowns. Almost like pinstriping. I could never do that. I don't have, my hands are not steady enough for pinstriping. But I can get away with that. All right, see, there you go. That works. That totally works. I like it. All right, let's let all this dry. Let's go back to our tooth here. Now the thing with this Model Magic clay is it takes a while for it to dry. So if I stick his tooth in like this, so that's going to work just like that. So, got my hot glue gun. Got our hot glue gun here. I'm going to throw a little bit of hot glue right here. Oh, I might need a new glue stick. Yeah. All right. All right, we are at 40, 50, 41. 41 straight up. All right, let's get a little glue here. Now the tooth is still a little wet, or needs some extra dry time. But this will cement that in there like that, and I'll take my tweezers and get that cobweb out of there. All right. Okay, that works for his tooth. I've got some gold, and we'll paint that tooth, and that'll help. That'll seal up the clay too. All right, we are at 4206. So we're kind of right on that 45-minute mark that I was thinking. All right, let's go ahead and paint this gold tooth. I'm a little curious as to why they left that off. Maybe it was an economic thing that they would have to paint that tooth gold, the mask, an extra step. Yeah, got some more cobwebs. There we go. One of the downsides of hot glue. All right. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. All right, gold tooth. Probably kind of hard to see on camera. I'll take some really nice pictures of when we're done. All righty. Let's see. I don't think I need to do anything else to this. I like it just the way it is. And there we go. That's our Hatbox Ghost painted in 43 minutes, 47 seconds. Right under the 45-minute mark, which is kind of what I predicted. And there's our Hatbox Ghost. Well, I had fun repainting this Hatbox Ghost mask. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.